Unless you are a founder that wants to blow a lot of money on marketing, don't hire a marketing agency or anybody to do your marketing before watching this video. All right, it's time to save you a boatload of money on marketing and make sure you don't go down the wrong path and spend a lot of money on things that don't work. And we're going to start this off by going through the Founders Revenue Challenge. This is where the founder or leader of the organization generates a majority of the revenue for that company and eventually wants to scale past themselves. So what we see with most founders is at the point they want to scale past themselves, they start looking for lots of options. In this case, we're going to talk about marketing. What do? Well, they jump right into execution. They often go find lots of different options. They'll hire a marketing agency. They'll hire an SEO vendor, an ad vendor. They'll hire a social media manager. They'll hire a marketer. And all to find out that they spend a lot of money and get zero ROI. So they think they're going to do marketing. They think they're going to scale past themselves and these vendors are going to generate leads. And they find out that it doesn't quite work out that way. Again, spends lots of money, no ROI. Now, before we get into why this happens and how we're going to save you a boatload of money, let's talk about what I mean by ROI before we go further. So what I mean with ROI is you spend $1 and you get $3 or more in return. So if you're going to spend $1 on marketing or on sales, your goal is to get $3 or more in return. And that's when the numbers start to work to grow the business. Now, why does this happen where so many companies spend lots of money on marketing that has no ROI or that doesn't generate leads for their organization? Well, in my experience, there's a fundamental flaw in that most marketing agencies, most SEO vendors, ad vendors don't really know the difference between B2B and B2C marketing and how that impacts revenue generation directly. They know how to do the work, but the problem is they're the hammer and you're the nail. If they do SEO, yes, SEO will solve all your problems. If they're a full service agency, they're going to come up with a great strategy to solve all your problems, all until you spend a bunch of money and don't get that ROI. So let's start off by looking at two completely opposite sides, B2B versus B2C. So first, B2B. B2B is business to business. So you are a business, you may have a professional services company and you sell to other businesses. B2C is business to consumer. So you're a business owner and you sell directly to a consumer. What we see is we have a lot of data. When we work with clients, we have all sorts of data on their organization, what they're spending from a marketing budget, what they're spending from a sales budget, what they're spending with each vendor, what kind of ROI they're getting. We track all of this information for every single one of our clients. And here is one thing that this data tells us that makes it super clear. So if you look over here on the left, the B2B side, when you really look at B2B businesses, the majority come in through these 5 different strategies or channels. So one, events. That may be attending events and networking. That may be hosting events. That any type of event where you're networking and building relationships. Second one, associations. Associations may have learning events. It overlaps with events in some ways, but those are groups where people can start to build relationships over time and really get to know other people and get referrals and build those relationships and get deals. The third one is through networking. So just straight networking, whether it's at an event, association, whether it's going out on the streets, whatever it is, it's networking drives a lot of B2B leads. Number 4 is referrals. And then last, we have conferences. So B2B gets a lot of leads through referrals and then being at conferences and attending that or having a booth at conferences. So those are the top 5 areas, and some of them do overlap in strategy on how B2B companies get their leads. Now, flip over to the B2C side, business to consumer. Our data shows a whole different picture. B2C leads come in through SEO, through ads, through referrals, through Google business profiles or local SEO, and also some overlap with events, but usually different types of events. So first of all, you can see B2B versus B2C get leads in a totally different way. So let's go a little bit deeper with B2B. What we see with B2B is, in a general sense, marketing, or what you would think of as marketing, does not drive the leads. What drives leads is salespeople. Feet on the street, going to events, doing networking, getting referrals, joining associations, being parts of groups. All of those things are what drive actual leads in the door. Marketing provides a supporting role to all of those. So if you go work with an agency, if you get an internal marketing person, they need to know how they are going to support and augment in all of these areas and work with the sales team very tightly to then drive and complement those leads and those processes so that you can close sales. So in B2B, what we find, especially in founder-led businesses, this gets very nuanced if you start to look at really large enterprise organizations, but for founder-led companies, sales drives the B2B leads, marketing supports all of these activities. So just as a recap, for B2B sales and to drive leads with marketing and sales, marketing helps sales build relationships. If you just think of it that way, how is marketing directly helping sales teams build relationships? You're going to get a better impact from your marketing budget, complementing your salespeople. Now let's flip over to B2C. For B2C organizations, marketing actually does drive those leads. Marketing is working on SEO, local SEO. They're building out ads. They're building structured referral programs. They may be hosting events for clients to drive referrals. Again, there's overlap in many of these. But marketing is the core driver doing 80% of the work or more in all of those areas, which then generates a lead that comes in and goes to the sales team to then close. So the main thing is, we want you to know that there's a major and fundamental difference between B2C and B2B marketing. If the person you're hiring, if the agency you're talking to can't explain it clearly and show how they're going to augment those teams very closely and not do something that's completely disjointed, then it's not going to help generate ROI for you, and your marketing budget isn't going to have the impact that you're looking for. So if you have any other questions, just drop those down in the comments. We're happy to get into the nuance with you, peel back the onion, and also provide other videos that dive deeper into certain areas that might be helpful for you and digging into this for your founder-led business. Thanks for joining.